Welcome. You're listening to This Leader, the podcast. If you lead people and are seeking the transformational, high-impact secrets that will lead to greater joy and fulfillment in your work, will optimize your team performance, and will help you create a happy, highly productive workplace, then you are this leader and you're in the right place. I'm your host, Claire Laughlin, and each week my guests and I will explore the mindsets, techniques, and actionable strategies that will help you build the career, team, and organization of your dreams. Because I believe no one should have to suffer in a dysfunctional workplace. Let's get started. Have you ever looked around at work and wondered how some people are just like shooting stars? Like they're the ones who seem to accelerate their careers in ways that feel almost magnetic. And you feel sort of happy, sad when they get promoted because you love being around them, but you're also excited to see them grow. And you watch with awe as they step into new roles and bigger challenges, all the while building an influence that extends far beyond their current title. Meanwhile, you feel like you're grinding away, just hoping someone will notice your potential. What's the difference? Well, what if the secret isn't talent or luck, but something much more intentional and something you can start positively influencing right now? My guest today, she's cracked the code through the power of servant leadership and intentional growth. Today, you'll meet Jessica Deakyne, who transformed herself from a transportation coordinator to assistant city manager in just one decade. And she didn't stop there. She's now the chief operating officer at MRG, where she's building systems that will help others scale leadership development across myriad organizations. Jessica has guided strategic initiatives and economic development. She's led citywide sustainability and equity programs, and she served as the president of the Municipal Management Association of Northern California. She's a Harvard Senior Executive Program alumna and was named one of North Bay Business Journal's 40 Under 40. She also won the Wes McClure Outstanding Assistant Award. But here's what really makes Jessica extraordinary. She built her career by connecting people, helping others succeed, and adding value to every community she touched. And in 2022, she co-created UpNext, a leadership community that's now helping the next generation of public sector leaders develop their true potential. Meanwhile, I'm sure you're going to notice that Jessica combines a powerful growth mindset with genuine servant leadership and a great sense of humor. She is the kind of person who absorbs lessons from every situation, remains humble yet confident, and understands that true career acceleration comes through giving, connecting, and uplifting others. While she's a really strong advocate for structured learning, Jessica proves to us that growth happens everywhere when you approach each experience with curiosity and a heart to serve. So today we're exploring exactly how this giving and growing approach can become your competitive advantage and the specific mindset shifts that turn everyday interactions into career accelerators. So let's dive in. Here's my conversation with Jessica Deakyne. Hello, Jessica. Welcome.
Claire, I'm so happy to be with you today. Thank you. How are you?
I am well. I'm always so thrilled to talk to you. And I love our conversations. And I'm super excited to hear all about how you emerged into this COO role at a very young age. Welcome and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, let's start there. So you have just had this fast track career, Jessica, and you went from working in transportation to being an assistant city manager in a decade. That's pretty remarkable. I want to know how you did it and what were some of the pivotal moments along the way that helped you accelerate your career so quickly?
I appreciate that. I think I listen to mentors. I mean, you work hard and you do the thing, but you surround yourself with good people. When I was at OCTA, shout out to Julie Espy, their director of workforce learning, I approached her and said, "Hey, Julie, I saw that we're offering kind of a certificate program in public administration. I'm really interested." And she said, "No, you're not allowed to do that." And I said, "Oh, no, why?" And she said, "Well, because you need to go get your MPA. So you're going to go to Cal State Fullerton and you're going to get your MPA. And I've never been steered wrong. I think, one of the things you'll hear me say probably 700 times in this podcast episode is community. Community, community, community. So I think I raised my hands for things, right? I said yes to things. My first job title was not delicious, but I learned how to set a meeting and I learned how to support a director and I learned what comes through an HR and organizational development department. And I think those skill sets are still serving me today. And even before that, I worked retail in high school, right? I know how to do customer service. I know how to talk to people. I know how to problem solve. I'm curious and resourceful. Like I think those are things that help people in any job. And when I'm hiring people, those are things that I'm looking for, people who are curious, people who can figure out how to get stuff done.
You're a people person and you just absorb details and everything from all the things you do, putting it together and then turning it around and applying it to the next opportunity or the next challenge.
Yeah, I think I love learning too. One thing I'm sure we're going to hit on is all of the programs that I've been to and why on earth did I start another program? I think there's an abundance of opportunities available to us. And I think when you're in community with people, when you're growing yourself and you're growing with other people and you're cheering each other on, like that's the real authenticity of leadership. I didn't become an ACM by myself.
Right.
That wasn't a solitary journey, and it just so happened that it was the right time in my career, and it was the right time for the place that needed me. So, keeping a big network and a community of people and connecting people, I'm connecting people to jobs all the time. They're not always for me, right? I'm going, "Oh, Claire, you're interested? You used to work at a university, right? Do you know anybody who could do this job?" Remembering details and networking well, I think is really key as well.
Yeah, you're very good at that. I love it. So, all that said, though, I want to know about a time when you felt you were really in over your head as a leader. Do you remember a time, something that sparked you to seek out some structured learning? Do you recall?
I think being a learner, I think you never feel finished, right? You never feel finished with your learning. And I think that that mindset for your staff of like, well, what skill sets do we need on our team? What are things that would be helpful? What are you interested in? And what could we use that would like level us all up? So, right now, I don't think I've shared this with you. I'm really excited. I'm going through the UC Davis executive coaching certification. I don't know that I feel in over my head as a leader, but I shifted from over 18 years in the public sector to, in January, I joined the private sector. And it's a mindset shift where I work, MRG. We're still serving local governments, but it's a very different approach. It moves at a different speed. It requires different skill sets. And I have several coaching clients. I'm loving coaching, but I wanted some foundations. I wanted to feel supported in it. I think it's always good for my team to see me also saying, gee, gosh, what could I improve on? What could we learn together? What would be beneficial for MRG? What could help UpNext, the program we're going to talk about a little bit later? But it's every other Friday and Saturday, all day on Zoom in community with people who are also interested in becoming coaches. And I didn't realize how much I would love. Obviously, I'm about to tell you how important community is to me, but I love the people in my course. They're lovely human beings. It's a good reminder life is happening while all of us, some of them are going through retirements and trying to figure out what's next for them. So recently I made the decision, I haven't been in school for several years. And it's been a humbling experience to be back in school and back learning with people.
Yeah, I bet. But great experience, right? So you're participating in this structured learning program alongside, having developed a structured learning program, a very unique one that we'll talk about in a moment. And it's good to remember, isn't it, what it feels like to be on the other side of that desk, in a sense. I used to teach, like you said, like I used to teach in the university environment, and I've always been a huge proponent of experiential learning. I just think we have to be learning through experiences constantly. So everything I do is based on let's try it, let's put it into action, let's do something experiential that illustrates it or something, right? But man, every now and then I go and I do structured learning myself in a classroom and I think, oh, yeah, this is hard sitting in this chair, even if the person's getting me up and moving. I remember, like, I'm a mover. This is why I have to have people moving constantly.
Yeah. In the coaching program, we're going to coach people, but we need to be familiar with what it feels like to be coached. And so we're coaching each other on stuff. Like the second day of class, we were in a coaching conversation. It's hard. You're asking people to be vulnerable with you.
Yes. Yes. Right. I know. And we talk about coaching as if it's sort of, hey, it's a no brainer. We don't actually talk about it that way. But sometimes people get the feeling that, like, oh, well, you're a manager. You should learn how to coach. And gee, here, just read this book and you'll be good. It really takes practice, practice, practice being in those uncomfortable moments. Right.
Yeah. It's hard to prepare for someone plopping in a chair in your office and saying, "Hey, I just recently got a cancer diagnosis and I wanted to let you know." Like, there's no training book for that. You have to experience that live with a human person in order to know, A, what you would do, right?
Absolutely.
And how to support people and show up for them and, doing your homework, knowing all the rules and the policies and how, what's available to them. It's both.
Right. Oh my gosh. But the heart that you have to show up with, right? The presence, the heart, the openness, I'm here with a person. I'm just sitting here with another human being who is sharing something with me. And I got to be able to wear my manager hat sometimes and just my human to human hat. Talk a little bit about this Up Next program that's coming up. In 2022, you created this Up Next program just as a way of supporting emerging leaders in government. It's a very special niche here. And I want to know, like, what was the gap that you saw there that others weren't filling? How did you know that that was such an important place to work?
So, one of the most foundational leadership and sort of learning experiences that I had was serving on the MMANC board.
So, just for listeners, what is MMANC?
The Municipal Management Association of Northern California. They're celebrating their 75th year this year, and it's an organization that's just always shown up for local government leaders. And I felt like when I became ACM, I thought, okay, well, let's see what other programs are out there. Are there programs out there that are supporting people at this level? And there are some, and they're great. And one thing that I think is really important when we talk about Up Next is like there is an abundance of training and programs and opportunities. Just like recruiting, it's about choosing the one that makes sense for you at this point in your career. So thank you for queuing that up. This serves people who are at a certain level of authority and responsibility in local government, and it puts people in the situation that I got to be in on the executive board of MMANC, which is in community with other leaders, running a nonprofit that serves other leaders. And so between sort of that feeling on the MMANC board, and I was president in 2020, what a rough year to take a professional organization that's all in person offline. I really needed community.
Yeah.
And so every Saturday night, I set up a Zoom for my exec board for all of us to just log in. We would just be with each other. How was your week? What's going on? Oh, you had 3 days to open a pop-up food bank? Me too. How did you do that? And so creating space for people to have conversations and celebrate things
Yes.
and talk through the hard things. So that experience led me to a point where Lisa Alessi and Kathy Capriola, the two co-facilitators for the program, were thinking about starting a program for women. Kathy is a former city manager, and they are both incredible developers of people. They were really interested in developing a program for women. They said, there's really not a thing for anyone.
Yeah.
What if we partner with MMANC? And then as soon as I started talking to people, every single person I spoke to said yes. Yeah, sure. You can embed this at MMANC. Would love to make a logo for you. Would love to help fund that program. Would love to send my staff. It was just a lot of yeses. And so that was an indication to me
Yeah.
that there was availability in the sector for this program. So we've been around for a few years now and sort of planned it in 22, beta tested it in 23, ran our first full cohort last year, and then we're running 2 cohorts this year, and we're gonna run 2 next year as well. So the proof is in the pudding, right? I felt like the girl at the dance. I put on my gown, I prayed someone was gonna bring me a course, and suddenly everybody said yes. I think the biggest yeses were MMANC graciously allowing us to be embedded in their organization. John Stefanski, who's the assistant city manager in San Rafael, is my co-chair, and Lisa and Kathy are sort of the backbone of the program.
Right. And so, what kind of transformation are you witnessing with these Up Next participants? I know we'll talk a little bit about the details of the program in general. It's a 9-month program. You could tell us about that as well, anything that you think is relevant. But I want to know, like, what are people experiencing?
Yeah, I'm seeing a few things. I think I'm seeing a lot of pull through. So we talk about leadership resiliency and executive presence. How do you show up in the room? How do you steel yourself to have hard conversations? How do you have hard conversations? How do you talk about the places that you go to when you're stressed with your staff so that they can share? So I'm seeing people connecting to their professional communities differently. I'm also finding a lot of the folks who've gone through Up Next have moved up in their organizations or to other organizations. They've promoted up. And I think because of the coaching component, because of the way that the sessions are organized and planned to be sort of foundational for folks, they get to the end of Up Next and they say, okay, I saw a job that's like my dream job and I applied for it. And as I got through the process, I realized it wasn't for me.
Interesting.
I've long been bothered by this phenomenon that we talk about in recruiting. I'm a recovering recruiter where, women only raise their hand if they can check every box on the job description. But more than that, is it for me? Does it serve me? Is it a good fit for me? Is such a powerful outcome of the program. And then, a multitude of other things. But I've just really enjoyed seeing people get so much clarity on who they are as leaders and be able to communicate that effectively. And then just standing in your confidence of like, hey, Claire, I'm different than other leaders, right? Like I'm a little quirky. I'm a little silly and a little quirky. And it's good for me to show some of that in an interview process or as part of whatever I'm working on so that people know what they're buying.
Right. Oh my gosh, that is so powerful because I do think that there can be this mentality of growth, like career advancement, simply for the sake of whatever the next title or the next monetary advancement or whatever that is. And if we don't stop and say, hey, I'm interviewing you as much as you're interviewing me here, I really need to make sure that this is a good fit for me, and you need to make sure that I'm a good fit for you. So let me be authentic and be a little quirky and show you who I am. And boy, how wonderful if you actually know who you are. So you go in with eyes wide open, right?
Well, a lot of these folks are applying for assistant city manager, assistant county manager. And I should be clear, this is for cities, counties, and special districts. It's not just for cities. MMANC has a lot of cities associated with it. So that's the bulk of who we get. But we're interested in applications from other people. I think back to MMANC and serving on that board, I treated my time there like a laboratory, and we've replicated a laboratory where you can sort of like touch the edges of what your leadership shows up like. And oh my gosh, I had a realization the other day. Maybe I use humor as a shield sometimes, right? Maybe I let people think they know me without them actually getting to know me. It feels friendly, but it's not a deep understanding of me. Wow, light bulb moment, right? And so we're looking for folks to have those transformational realizations about how they show up as leaders, but watching people stand in their power as leaders and having leaders who might not look like the traditional leaders we've seen in local government is really powerful.
Oh boy, I bet. That's fantastic. Any chance you arrived at that realization through the Enneagram? I'm just curious.
Lisa, Alessi, and I happen to both be sixes. So we talk about the Enneagram quite a bit together. But no, that was actually through the coaching program. We're hoping for similar transfer. Again, UpNext is the program that John and I wish existed when we became ACMs. And I've heard from several of the leaders that have gone through it, like, oh my gosh, I realized when I am below the line, leadership circle is sort of the foundational tool that we use in UpNext. They'll say, when I'm below the line, I want to control everything.
Right.
I want to zoom into details in a way that makes people, agitated with me, and I get frustrated because no one's paying attention to all of the details. And when you bring awareness, soft awareness, right? It's not punishment to realize that's how you show up. We're all human. It's hopefully a light bulb moment that people can then use, and often we're giving them materials to take back to their staff so that they can have these conversations on their teams as well and show up differently for people in their agencies, which is great.
I love that. That's so powerful. And I just do think that over and over and over again, it's that self awareness that we begin with this self awareness, and you have to develop. And I mean, gosh, what greater subject matter to really deeply understand than oneself? You're always there, you're always showing up for everything. So, building that depth of self awareness and then the ability to catch yourself and regulate and to really expose yourself in some of these ways to the deeper vulnerability, for example, or, okay, I'm ready to peel back this layer a little bit. How do I test that?
I think also the releasing ourselves from this idea that the outcome has to be perfection. We all have to be living it perfectly. I've heard you talk about this on the podcast before. Like, if these are my standards, how do I readjust them based on what my needs are now in my life? Right. So the outcome is not perfection. The outcome is authenticity. The outcome is vulnerability. The outcome is how we get to deeper, meaningful leadership conversation so that when you're applying to be a city manager, you say, listen, I'm not interested in just keeping the ship afloat. I'm a transformational leader. I thrive in change. It's who I am. I love it. You're a good match for me, and I'm a good match for you because of this and that, right? And being able to match yourself in a more powerful way to your future, I think like what a gift we can give the profession.
That's so exciting. Let's talk about a couple of the nuts and bolts here with the UpNext program, just because we've alluded to this. So it's 9 months. There's an application process, there's a price tag to it, obviously. How do you convince skeptical leaders, in a sense, that this structured development is worth the time mostly? I know that could be a barrier for people. So, what's your belief? What's your philosophy on this? Why 9 months? How does it work? And when I say 9 months, actually, what is this? One day a month? We should clarify that.
Yeah. So it kicks off in February at a full day launch retreat, and then it ends in October. It aligns with a half day session and a bunch of events at the MMANC annual conference. So it's 9 months long. It actually starts in like December, January with your first coaching call with Lisa and Kathy to just sort of queue up the program and get you ready. So it's probably more like almost a year program. But I think, owing to the fact that true change doesn't happen in 48 hours, there are certain things that you can learn. Again, back to there being an abundance of opportunities, there are certain things that you can learn in a weekend, and it's great. And if the point is networking, perfect. If the point is, how do I negotiate a contract or how do I do a PIP, right? So more technical stuff, great. You can do that in an afternoon or in a short form class. Real change takes time. And there are people that went through the program last year. Actually, there are several of them that have reached out to me and said, oh my gosh, I was having to have a difficult conversation. I was looking at my notes from last June. This is iterative. We're not selling like, rags to riches overnight. It's a process, and it's about creating community and taking the time because there's 4 coaching sessions that are structured throughout it. So February and October in person, March through September are all virtual sessions. And it's structured in a way that like it would be ridiculous to think everybody was good at all of the things that we talk about. But there's enough stuff there that you're like, hey, I'm pretty politically astute. So this one didn't resonate with me. I didn't feel like I was doing this like stripped to the core learning every month, right? Like some months are going to resonate harder than others. And we have the benefit of having, I should also mention, some incredible corporate sponsors that matched with our program early. Terry Black was our founding sponsor, and we do talk about executive presence and what is a recruitment process? How does it work? So there are some technical portions of the program, right? MRG is also an early sponsor. Mary at MRG was the second person to say yes. And now I get to work here. So it's great to be at an organization that believes in investing people. And then we have American Canyon and Petaluma were early investors as well. They are organizations that really believe in investing in the next generation of leaders. And just last year, we added Jacob Green to our suite. So I hate to do the hold the Coke and smile into the camera, Claire, but truly, like they have been, and they all participate in the program in specific ways as well. They are all committed to investing in this generation of leaders. And by generation, I don't mean people in their 20s, people in their 30s. I mean people at these levels of leadership who lead on behalf of other entities, right? So when you're the assistant city manager, your authority is through the city manager.
Right. You're seeking director and above, essentially.
Yeah, people who have to make the hard decisions, people who have to look at budgets and say, I don't know how we're going to continue to do this. I think we might have to look into alternatives. It's that level of authority in local government that is the loneliest, it is the most difficult. Not to say that being a city manager is not difficult. Feeding, 5 plus electeds is a very different, but it's not a progression. Management analyst to ACM is a more linear path than ACM to CM.
When you go back to this idea of people engaging in community structured learning as a way of really accelerating their careers, let me just ask you, like, do you ever find people in this program that are kind of phoning it in? You know what I mean? Like, I know obviously you just said that there are times when people will be more engaged or less engaged in certain topics than the other, but I feel like there's this way that we each need to be committed to our own learning. And I'm always looking for how to support that for real, right? I mean, really engaging people, having them apply, making sure they're held accountable, stuff like that. I'm just curious. I'm assuming that 100% of your participants are all in, sleeves rolled up. No, I'm not assuming that because I know human nature too well.
You've been a trainer long enough to know I think is everyone here for the right reasons? I think you'll get 44 different answers this year. But I think the inclusivity of our program starts at application. So the way that we review applications is that we strip everything that would be, we say, hey, you have to be at this level because the titles in local government are a good indication of responsibility and authority, but it's not always the best indicator. So we correct for this by stripping all of the information that would indicate where they work, what their title is, what's their age, their race, their sex, everything, so that we allow the advisory board who reads the applications to just look at how the participant explains their background. And then when if they're not selected, John and I meet with every single person who's not selected. We offer them that time so that we can let them know about other opportunities for growth this year and to help ensure that their application next year is ready to roll and that they're accepted into the program. We engage with them then throughout the year. We reach back out to those folks. I've developed relationships with a lot of the folks that didn't make it into the first 2 years because I want them to feel like this is a place that at the right time in their career will be there for them. Are people participating 100%? No. And so what happens is we reach back out to them. We call them back in, right? Instead of calling people out, we say, hey, Claire, you missed the July session. Let me know if you want, connect with your accountability partner for the notes. Is there anything we can do to support you? What's going on? Hey, we haven't heard from you. We'd like to call you in. Remember, there's only 3 months left. This is your time.
Right. Creating the invitation, right? Life happens. I mean, sometimes we've all been there. We've all been there with the best intentions. And 9 months or, 10 months or 11 months or whatever is a long enough period of time for lots of life events to come up and steal our focus, at least periodically. I know that for sure.
For sure. I think I'd add we really try to avoid box check resume ads, right? We're here because if we're teaching you how to have courageous conversations, we're also going to have courageous conversations with you during the program. So there's a part of choosing folks at that level is that you've already done some assessments, you've already been to some classes, you've already been a leader for a period of time. And this is to enhance and deepen that, right? It's just like when you get, so back to OCTA and Julie Espy, I had 3 years of work experience that I could look back on. You can't go right from your undergrad to your grad. How are you going to write a paper about local government if you've never worked in it, right? So it's about the timing for people wherever they're at in their careers. And we have people who have been in their 20s and in their 60s. Again, it's not about age, it's not about any sort of demographics other than, is your authority conducted on behalf of someone else? And are you a leader in your organization? Who's ready for some transformational change in community with the best people?
Oh my gosh, I love it. That's a good sales pitch right there. So let me sort of take you back to your ability to scale and change. Like you've accelerated again, we said this at the beginning, but you've accelerated through the ranks and now you're COO, Chief Operating Officer at MRG. And for anybody who's unfamiliar, MRG, Jessica and I both work within MRG in different capacities, quite different capacities as I'm just a consultant. But how has your own investment in development programs and your own structured learning, for example, shaped your ability to scale impact? Right. As the COO, I know that's part of what you're focused on is just like how to optimize operations and ensure that MRG as a consulting firm is, you know, prepared to deliver at all times. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I'm recently 6 months into this new role and still, every month I feel like, whoa, I've learned so much and I've learned so much. But really, just like with leaders, agencies are facing very similar problems, right? I say the words role clarity more than I say good morning. It's a challenge that most agencies face. And so investing in development programs means I have a huge network of people that I can pull from and say, hey, what's happening over at your city, county, special district? What's the most pressing issue? What are you guys reading? If you follow me on LinkedIn, and please do, you'll see me ask questions about, like, are you guys going back to the office? How is your organization managing? When, again, as a curious person and somebody who's been in development programs, I'm able to say when someone through MRG says, what program should I send my staff to? Or what do you think we need? I'm able to ask questions at an intake call and say, so you said you were having this issue, but the language you're using is kind of telling me that you need a different kind of support. That doesn't sound like, HR on demand. That actually sounds like executive coaching. Is that what you meant? And are you familiar with it? Do you know what that looks like? And here's how we structure it. So asking better questions to get people to better solutions, that's a Mary Egan special, right? What do you love to do? What do you not want to do for our consultants, but also for the agencies? What do you need? What do you think you need? What have you tried that hasn't worked? And, I'm watching the other affiliated consultants who are experts in their fields. I'm getting to work with Rumi Portillo and I'm getting to work with, Joe Krines, people who are known for being top of their sectors.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. You're applying all of the experience that you've gathered through the years. So, as we wrap up here, Jessica, I just want to ask you, like, what is one pivotal mindset shift you think that separates leaders who hit a plateau, maybe that they don't want to hit? I mean, some people just, they're good. Like, I just want to stay here. I know myself. This is where I contribute at my best. That's not what I'm talking about. But really, the mindset shift that separates leaders who maybe plateau unnecessarily from those that really keep accelerating. Do you have insight on that? What insight can you share? Let me rephrase that.
That's a great coaching question reframe, Claire. 10 points from UC Davis's program. I think it's about people who forget that they're doing this in community. You're not alone. The issue that you're going through today isn't the first time this has ever happened to someone. And you have a group of people. I say this to students who are early in their career, and I say this to city managers. Call your friends. How did they do it? How did they get through it? What did they need? It's the people who forget that, city management is a team sport. As a lady who's not into sports ball, I'm using a sports reference here, but truly, it's a team sport. You have your council, your staff, your community. Like, there's a lot of stakeholders in the work that we do. And forgetting that you have people who are willing to lend a hand, like, hey, I saw your city in the headlines today. How can I help? What do you need? Those are the people who are doing it better.
Yes. Well, I wasn't counting, but you did mention community a lot of times in this podcast. That's a very important takeaway. Jessica, I want to thank you so much for your time. It's really amazing. And again, you are a person who hasn't just had a really accelerated, wonderful career where you've climbed the ladder and you've experienced a lot of different things, but you're a person who's building ladders for others and has really dedicated yourself to that. And I want to acknowledge you for that. And I want to thank you for that because it's a gift. It's a real gift. And I know your program is changing a lot of lives. So thank you. And thank you for sharing with us here so that people know more about you and about UpNext. We'll put your links, LinkedIn, your handle for LinkedIn, and anything else you want people to know about how to find you or the UpNext program.
Claire, thank you so much. Thank you for seeing me that way. I think there's no better legacy I could leave to this profession. So I really appreciate that. Yes, to find more about UpNext, mmanc.org/upnext. We'll be updating the website and taking applications this fall for the 2026 cohorts. And I can't wait to meet 2 new cohorts of leaders who are ready to roll.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you.
So, if you remember back to that question I posed at the beginning, wondering how some people accelerate their careers that feel almost magnetic, here's what Jessica taught us. True career acceleration happens when you lead with service and when you see every interaction as a chance to add value and make connections, and when you approach each experience with genuine curiosity. What did she say at the beginning? She was going to mention the word community like 700 times. Community, connection, those things are really, really important to Jessica. And now, whether you're considering a structured development program like UpNext, which, by the way, is opening soon, or applications are being accepted very soon, or simply looking to shift how you're going to show up at work tomorrow, the principle she teaches remains, which is that growth comes through giving and influence expands when you focus on uplifting others. I am so grateful to Jessica for sharing her wisdom and for her example of combining humility with confidence. I mean, that's something that I'm personally going to carry forward. You can learn more about Jessica at solutions-mrg.com/mrg-team. Okay, you can go to solutions-mrg.com and you can actually look at the team tab, and she's right there for you. And if you're a leader in public service, I just want to encourage you to check out UpNext and get your application in. See how you can accelerate your own development while serving others. The next program starts in 2026. So as we close, here's a question for you this week. What's one way you could add value to someone else's success right now? Could you reach out to check in with someone, or open a door for someone, or connect two people with mutual benefit, or contribute to a community? These are all ways that we can truly serve and grow in the process. And if this conversation sparks something for you about your own leadership journey, of course, I'd love to hear about it. You can connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn, or drop me a note to support@clairelaughlin.com. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast and to my newsletter so you don't miss future conversations with leaders who are transforming their organizations and their communities. So until next time, thanks for listening. Now go lead the way. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. To learn more about my services and for lots of free resources and additional tools to enrich your journey, visit my website and subscribe to my newsletter at clairelaughlin.com. If you have a question about leadership, teams, or organizational culture you'd like me to address on the podcast, please reach out to me at support@clairelaughlin.com and connect with me on social channels @Claire Laughlin Consulting. Until next time, lead the way.